I'm an average teenager. I struggle with everything that my generation has to deal with as a part of growing up. At the age of 13, almost 14, I began looking in the mirror and didn't like the reflection I saw staring back at me. I thought that I should look more like the people on TV, that they were the real definition of perfect. They were successful, they always got the guy they wanted, but most of all, they were beautiful. I began to think more and more that the way I looked wasn't good enough for the world, and that I needed to change. I began to eat less and less. This didn't work out for me because I really love food, so I tried eating only fruit. And that didn't work, so all I ate was vegetables. I tried everything. When everything else failed, I made myself throw up. I thought that these decisions were the right ones, that because I was taking control of my image and meant I was being independent. Thus began my long journey alone and without God. I lost the weight I wanted to, I assure you of that, but I started to feel a lot different. All of a sudden, I began to notice and I couldn't focus as well as I did before. My grades dropped from straight A's to C's and D's in a span of a few months. The life was gone clear out of me. This loving, caring, outgoing person that my parents told everyone I was gone. In her place was a lifeless zombie, closed and guarded. I couldn't sit still in church because I was so starving, and I grew farther and farther away from God. My parents would come to me and beg me to let them help me, but nothing was getting through. Natalie Grant used to be bulimic too, and her story called to me. My cousin, who has been bulimic for an extremely long time, has ruined her life with her obsession. God was also constantly tugging on my heart, crying out to me, telling me to change. Then one day, something in me finally had a shred of desire to be different. I finally started to eat. Eat, without stopping. I surrendered. Almost immediately, it was like something had put my life into focus, and nothing could faze me. I could concentrate, and my parents began telling everyone that they got their daughter back. All of a sudden, I loved the way I looked. I was beautiful. I was a perfect imperfection. I was gorgeous the way God created me. I realized that in those 2 lost years of my life, I had been believing a lie. I was never fat. That was a lie. I was never ugly. That was a lie too. Satan had deceived me. I let him trick me into thinking I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't perfect the way I was. He tried to pull me into the darkness to suffocate me, but I was yanked free. I was resurrected. God has a plan for me, and it must be one heck of a plan for Satan to try so hard to bring me to destruction. And he came very close. Jesus Christ is the one and the only way to true freedom and beauty. Unless we surrender to God our whole hearts for him to use his purpose, we will never truly be satisfied with our lives. If there was one thing I could tell all the women and girls in the world, it would be that true beauty comes from God's light shining through us. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not perfect, because you are. I know what it feels like to be dead, and I went through what I did for a reason. God will use me to do great things in life because of my suffering. I was restored to testify. Imperfection is beauty, and anyone who doesn't believe this is being deceived by the same lie I was. You are an imperfect perfection. Before I went through what I did, God really wasn't real for me. After knowing what it's like to be so lost, God became more than just God for me. I realized that God is the most amazing artist there is because of how he designed each and every one of us to be exactly the way we are. I realized that he created us all for a purpose and that he was in an individual plan for every human being on earth. He's more than a king. Kings only rule their kingdoms and tax people. He is the king. And that amazing king knows me down to the individual hairs on my head and loves me for who I am. He's my rescuer, my dad, but most of all, my best friend.